Welcome to lecture 3 on essentials of topology. In continuation to previous lecture on sets and functions, in this lecture we will continue to study some more notions associated with sets and functions. We will study the following topics in this lecture. First one, composition of functions, inverse of a function, finite and countable sets, and finally indexed family of sets. Begin with the concept of composition of functions. Let us see this figure. There is a function f from a set x to a set y, and there is another function g from y to another set z. Our motive is to construct a function from x to z. If we see this figure, if x is this element of x, then f send it to f of x, that is an element of y, and if we are computing g image of f of x, that goes to g of fx. So a natural choice is here that if f is a function from x to y and g is a function from y to z, then we can construct a function from x to z, g composition f, such that g composition f of x is equals to g of fx. Formally, let f be a function from x to y and g from y to z be two functions, then their composition is again a function from x to z, such that g composition f of x is defined as g of fx. Some simple results can be obtained for composition of functions. These are the list of results that if f and g are two injective functions, then their composition is also injective. If f and g are two surjective functions, then their composition is also a surjective function. If f and g are bijective, then their composition is also a bijective function. Let us take some of the examples of composition of functions. So the first example is, let f and g be two functions from R to R, such that fx equal to x square and gx equal to x plus 3. Let us compute g composition f of x, which is g of f of x, that is g of x square, and that's equals to x square plus 3. Similarly, for the second example, if we want to compute g composition f of x, that is g of f of x, and f of x is defined as x square plus 3, so this becomes g of x square plus 3, because g of x equal to square root of x, therefore this equals to x square plus 3 square root. In both the examples, the domain for both functions is set of reals, so we can not only talk about g composition f, but we can also talk about f composition of g. That is, as g is a function from R to R and f is a function from R to R, we can also compute f composition g. So if we are computing this composition for first example, f composition g of x, that equals f of gx, that is f of gx is x plus 3 here, so this becomes x plus 3, and what f does, f of x equal to x square, so this equals to x plus 3 square. It is to be noted here that G composition f of x was x square plus 3, while f composition g of x is x plus 3 whole square. From here, we conclude that f composition g is not equal to g composition of f in this example. Similarly, one can check for the second example. Moving to the next concept, that is the concept of inverse of a function. Idea is that if we are having a function from a set x to y, how to construct a function from y to x? We will discuss in details here. So, begin with a bijective function f from x to y, then the inverse of f is a function g from y to x such that if f of x equals to y, then g of y equal to x. These are some of the notations which we will use. If there exists some g satisfying this criteria that f of x equal to y implies g of y equals to x, then g is called inverse of f and is noted by this notation. It is simple to deduce that inverse of a function is same as function itself. Also, if we want to compute inverse of composition of two functions g and f, then it equals to f inverse composition g inverse. Let us make an analysis on this definition that why bijectiveness of the function is necessary. Begin with this diagram. Here f is a function from x to y. It can be seen that this function is not 1 1 but onto. Idea is if fx is equal to y, then our motive is to construct a function g such that gy is equal to x and g is a function from y to x. Question is how to find out the value of function at this particular element, because if f of this element is equal to this one and f of this element is equal to the same thing, whenever we are trying to find out g image of this element, we are getting two distinct element in x, meaning is that this is violating the definition of a function. So such g cannot exist in this case when f is not 1 1. Moving ahead, here again is a function f from a set x to y. It is clear from the figure that this function is 1 1 but not onto. With the help of this f, if we want to construct a function g from y to x, then question is how to define the function g at this element, because none of the element of the domain is associated with it. Again, there will be a problem to construct a g from y to x. That's why it is necessary to begin with a bijective function. Coming to this diagram, here is a function f from a set x to y. Let us take this function as a bijective function where f of a equals to p, f of b equals to q and f of c equals to r. That is what we are taking, that we are taking f of a equals to p, f of b equals to q and f of c equals to r. As this function is both 1 1 as well as onto, that is the function is bijective, we can construct a function g from y to x, and by using the definition of f we can define the function g as that g of p equals to a, g of q equals to b, and g of r equals to c. This g is nothing but inverse of f. Let us take some more examples. The first one is if f is a function from R to R such that fx equal to 2x plus 3, then we can construct a function g from R to R such that if we are taking g of x as x minus 3 upon 2, then g is nothing but inverse of f, because if f of x equals to 2x plus 3, then if we want to find out g of 2x plus 3 by using this definition, this can be written as 2x plus 3 minus 3 upon 2, and that is equals to x. Therefore, g is inverse of f. Coming to the second one, f is a function from R to R such that fx equal to x square, which is not a bijective function, because if we are computing images, for example f of minus 1 is 1 and f of 1 is also equal to 1. Also, by visualizing the graph of this function, this is the particular graph, that is fx equal to x square. We can see that the images of distinct point are same, and therefore this function is not bijective, and therefore we cannot talk about inverse of this function. But if we are making a simple modification in the domain and codomain of the function, and now if we are taking a domain as closed at 0 up to infinity to the same such that fx equal to x square, it can be verified that fx equal to x square is a bijective function, and if this is a bijective function, we can talk about the inverse of this function, and that is nothing but g of x equal to square root of x. We can again verify the definition of inverse of a function as f of x equal to x square, and if we want to find out what is g of x square, that is positive square root of x square, that is nothing but x, and we can say that g is inverse of f. Moving to the next concept, that is the concept of finite and countable sets. We are recalling some definitions related to finiteness and countability of sets. We are not going in details here. Begin with the definition of a finite set. We say that a set X is finite if either it is an empty set or there exists a bijective function f from X to a set of this form, that is 1, 2 up to n. For example, if we are taking the set X as collection of letters from English alphabet, then we can say that this set is finite because there exists a bijection from this set to another set. Let us assume that this set is A, and that set is nothing but 1, 2, 3, so on up to 26. There exists a bijective function f from X to A, which sends A to 1, B to 2, and so on, and Z to 26. So this is a simple example of a finite set. A set which is not finite is called an infinite set. For example, set of natural numbers, set of integers, set of rational numbers, and one can find a number of examples because we cannot construct any bijective functions from such sets to any set of this particular form. Continuing, we say that a set X is countable if either it is a finite set or there exists a bijective function f from X to set of natural number n. For example, n itself is a countable set because identity function from n to n is a bijective function. Also, set of integers z is also a countable set. Even set of rational numbers is also a countable set. But it can be seen that set of real numbers is not countable because no such bijective function from R to n exists. Let us see a characterization of countable sets which is given individually in terms of injective function and surjective function. The result is something like this one. The following statements are equivalent. A set X is countable is equivalent to there exists an injective function f from X to set of natural numbers, and that is also equivalent to there exists a surjective function g from set of natural number to X. As I stated that we will not go in detail regarding these concepts, but for the detailed study of finite and countable sets, one may go through NPTEL course on real analysis by Professor S.H. Kulkarni. Now, coming to the topic indexed family of sets. What is it and what will be its importance in topology, we will see later. Let us take a collection of sets and in the set I. What we call that this collection of sets is an index collection over I. If there is a surjective function f from the set I to the collection of sets A, that is, if we are taking any set A, there exists an I in I such that f of I equals to A. We will always write f of I as AI itself. Let us take some of the examples of an indexed family of sets. Beginning with the first example, let us take n as a natural number. Take a set an as collection of minus n, 0 and n. Then what we can see that collection of such an is an indexed collection over n. What we have to show that there exists a surjective function from set of natural number to such collection, and this is simple to justify because for every an in A there exists a natural number n such that f of n equals to an, and therefore we can say that this collection is an indexed collection over n. Moving ahead, let us take another example. Let n an integer and an is a set of this particular form that is closed at n up to infinity. Then we can again see that the collection of such an is an indexed collection over z. In order to visualize the surjectivity between set of integers to collection, this is again a simple one. For every an in A there exists an integer n such that f of an equals to an. Moving ahead, let us take another example. Let q be a positive rational number and aq be an open interval from minus q to q. Then collection of AQ, Q belongs to the set of positive rational numbers, is again an indexed collection over Q plus. If we want to again visualize the surjective function from Q plus to A, this is simple one, as corresponding to every AQ there exists Q in Q plus such that f of Q is equal to AQ. Let us take last example regarding indexed family of sets. Take any real number R and a set AR of this form, that is collection of open intervals R, Y, where Y belongs to R. Then collection of such sets is also an indexed collection over R, because if we are taking any AR in A, there exists a real number R such that f of R equals to AR. If we want to visualize the structure of AR, actually what does it represent? Let us see. Let us take that this is x equal to R, and as Y is any real number, the points of the form Ry will lie on a line passing through x equal to R. So what exactly this AR is? AR is nothing but that is a line passing through x equal to R and parallel to y-axis. We will discuss two concepts regarding indexed family of sets. First such concept is concept of union. So let us take an index family of sets, and these are subsets of X indexed by I. Then union of such AI is collection of all those X belongs to X such that X belongs to I for some I in I. If we are taking this example, n is a natural number, A is a collection of sets an belongs to n, where an is of this particular form, and if we want to compute union of n belongs to set of natural numbers n, then it can be seen that this is nothing but set of integers Z. Also just see that every A1, A2, A3 and so on, they are subset of Z, and their union is the whole set. Let us take another example. For n belongs to Z, if we are taking the indexed collection in this form, that is collection of n belongs to Z, where an is the sets of this form which is closed at n to infinity, it can be easily seen that an is a subset of R, and we want to find out union of n belongs to Z, this is precisely set of real numbers R. How is it possible? Answer is because for all real number X, always we can find out n in Z such that n is less than or equal to X, or X will belongs to n to infinity, and whenever we are taking their union, we will get the whole set R. Coming to the next example, for Q in set of positive real numbers, if our collection is given in this form, where AQ is the interval minus Q to Q, and if we are talking about what about the union of AQ, Q in Q plus, that is nothing but R itself. And coming to the last example, For R in set of real numbers, let the collection of sets be AR, where AR is given by this type of sets. If we want to see what is the union of AR, R belongs to R, it can be seen that this is nothing but R2. So we have discussed a number of examples on union of indexed family of sets. Moving to the next one, and let us see the concept of intersection of indexed family of sets. This is similar to the concept of intersection of two sets what we have already studied. So let us take AI, I in I be a family of sets where every AI is a subset of X, and this family is indexed by a non-empty set I. Then intersection of such family of sets is collection of all those elements in X such that X belongs to AI for every I in I. For example, if we are taking n belongs to the set of natural numbers, AH collection of n is a natural number where an is of this form. It can be seen that if we find intersection of n belongs to n, this will be simply singleton set 0, because 0 will be common to all the sets. The next one is for an integer n, if an is of the form n to infinity. Question is, what about intersection of n belongs to set of integers? It can be seen that this will be empty set. Question is why? This is because for all R in R, that is for all real number, there exists n in Z such that X is less than n. That is, X does not belongs to n to infinity, and therefore X cannot lie in the intersection of n belongs to Z. What about intersection of AR? Just think on it. These are the references. That's all from today's lecture. Thank you.